Hey, Josh, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Gary. Back for another one of our Surviving with Purpose sessions.
Yeah. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened the last couple of days, and phone calls and discussions. It's really interesting. People are trying to be creative. It's kind of been some fun conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, so last time when we finished the discussion, we talked this time that we would talk about pivoting. We talk about looking for additional opportunities. We would talk about, given this morass of stuff going on, there's a plethora of opportunities that are going on, huge number of opportunities. So somebody that's willing to be creative and look at those new opportunities could potentially come out of this thing smelling really well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you think, from your perspective, when you think about, okay, how do I look at pivoting? How do I look at being creative? How do I look beyond what I'm, kind of focused on doing? What do you think when you think of that question?
Well, I think about what we've been talking in the last session. When you're doing an assessment of, like strengths and weaknesses. So some of the times the strengths that you're assessing are core capabilities. It can be supply chains that you have access to. It could be competency within your workforce that can be retooled, right? So, and those are things that you can leverage. So when I think about pivoting, I think about, okay, so if I'm in my assessment, and part of the assessment is the current state, but part of the assessment is what are opportunities that are out there. If I see an opportunity, can we leverage the strengths that we have toward that opportunity? And the business may actually look, very different.
Right.
Case in point, like I had a conversation this morning with a friend of mine, and he's in the promotional marketing space. Okay, so he's got this really, really cool turnkey system that he's got like 24,000 SKUs that he can generate custom iPhone cases, iPad cases, and so forth, right? Well, while that business actually is still pretty strong because people are using their phones and you rely on those devices to get information in the pandemic, an emerging spot for growth in his business is around PPE. So any kind of protective equipment. Yeah. Specifically, it is branded bottles of hand sanitizer. Okay.
Yeah.
So he just happens to have, because of relationships that he has in supply chain, he's got access to a supply chain that can give him FDA approved hand sanitizer that he can slap your company's logo on that and laser etch the thing and make it look really cool, so that, here's a way that this company shows that we care about you, we care about your safety, we care about your health. Oh, and remember us, right?
Yeah.
And he's got an opportunity to double his money, more than double his money on an investment around this.
Yeah. If you take it from the other side, though, you're weak in something, right? You're kind of struggling with something. There's opportunities to look for people that are maybe could use that capability, could use that skill, and maybe then be able to take that weakness that you've got and make it a strength. There's a company we've been talking to up in Montana that's a B2C company. And they were contacted by another company that's really struggling because although they've got some good products to sell, they don't have a very good B2C capability. They don't have a very good fulfillment capability. That's their Achilles heel. And so they've really struggled with that. So rather than sit there, and wait for the phone to ring and not really be able to sell much, they're going to couple up with this other company to sell their products through their system. Really, really well. So now I've taken something that I've struggled with, but I've found a capability to be able to fill that weakness and then do really well with that.
That's great.
So what else do you think? How about looking externally? How do I get out from underneath my company and look at opportunities that are going on?
Well, it even goes back to this movie that we love watching with our kids called Robots. You ever see this one with your kids? It's an animated movie. I love it because Stanley Tucci's in it, and I love anything Stanley Tucci does. But he's instructing his young son on if you like see a need, fill a need. So he's kind of tuning himself to be needs focused in his assessment of opportunity. Now this was within respect to opportunity of his self and his own work, but the same thing goes for business. It's like, have eyes open as you're going around and having conversations. Like you talked about, just call customers, call clients. Like, see what your competitors are doing, like see where the need is and pivot toward the need.
Yeah.
If you're trying to like sell something that nobody needs anymore, like right now, we know, just as an example, we know that The CDC said, was it yesterday, that to prepare for the fall to be worse than now, because you don't just have the COVID-19, but you're also going to have seasonal flu, which are basically you're going to have two respiratory illnesses that are going to go after resources at the same time, right? And we know that the flu, this the common flu, takes lives. So both are of an issue, heightened now because they're at the same time. Okay, so if your workforce right now is primarily in a facility, like how can you pivot to be more tooled for your more remote workforce for times in the future? And how can you build up those accountability measures? How can you make sure you're getting performance out of your team? Like that's a pivot that you have time to make right now, because this isn't going to be the last time that we're going to have this thing. And there were companies that were already prepared to go remote and actually still be able to collaborate, still be able to do all this stuff. But there are some that weren't.
Yeah.
That are losing out on market opportunities right now because they're not tooled. So, okay, here was the shot across the bow. We flattened the curve. States are going to start restricting stuff. Well, that doesn't mean like go back to business as usual. That means here's your opportunity to tool to pivot for the next round of this. And if it's if it's not this fall, it'll be another time. But then you've got that contingency plan in play.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great time. We've been talking to some clients in the IT space, because one of the huge demands that we're feeling now is bandwidth, is the ability to communicate like we are remotely, right, over a Zoom call. But this is not going to go away. There's parents that are sitting at home with 3 kids, all trying to be, in touch with their school teachers at the same time, and they can't do it because they don't have enough bandwidth. So the need for bandwidth, particularly with 5G coming, is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So if I'm an IT company, right, and I do Wi-Fi installations and network installations and so forth, if I could find a couple of other companies in my space that don't have the strengths around technology or operational training and that kind of stuff that I have, man, there's a great opportunity to partner with or purchase another small company for probably very little cash up front to add to your bandwidth, to add to your power, and be able to do that more and more. So there's a plethora of those kinds of things. If you look at the need for bandwidth, if you look at the need for 5G coming down the road, if you look at the need of parents home with children and things for those children to do, we have a client that has a silly video on how to make slime. I kid you not, how to make slime.
Okay.
And that video gets over 200,000 hits a month.
Oh my gosh.
Because the parents are showing their kids this and they're having fun with how to make slime. So what do? They go make slime. So people that have content, that have educational stuff, that have story stuff, that have music stuff. I mean, out of work actors can do, plays remotely. We're seeing, symphony orchestras come together on YouTube with all these different people playing remotely, and it sounds phenomenal. So there's a plethora of that kind of stuff that's going on as well. Just get out there and look at the emerging trends and see how your business can take advantage of that.
Yeah, funny talking about videos. I came across on Twitter, husband and wife couple. They're 2 comedians that, they were going out and doing gigs. Well, now nobody can do a stand-up gig. And what they've done is they've created this hashtag, and it's lip sync lockdown, or lockdown lip sync. And so he and his wife produced these videos as a challenge back and forth to each other, like lip syncing and being in ridiculous costumes. They've got 5 times the audience now than they had before the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people watching stuff. But let's talk for a second about you're a mainline basic business. You're an electrician. Okay. What do I do as an electrician to somehow get outside of my space and build on my business? What do you think?
Well, one thing that I thought about, and even just recognizing either local businesses around town, the ones that have quickly pivoted to, how can I make things safe for my clients? And how can I show, I know that there are even restaurants that our family continues to patronize because they have been first to the game to say, hey, here are all the precautions that we're taking to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah.
And we are being selective in which ones we continue to do business with because of that. So I think, whether you're an electrician, whether you do pest control, whether you do plumbing, any kind of trade work, like if you could be front to, here's how I can make you safer, as we provide this service. I mean, that's just from a marketing standpoint, but even from a service standpoint, like pivoting towards here's the norm of how our team's going to be, here's how we'll show up. I mean, that's a place you can grab some market share.
Yeah. The other thing that people can do is talk to their customers, right? Just talking to your customers, even if you're not delivering right now, even if they're not buying anything right now, just paying attention to them and talking to them and asking questions. So what are you doing? Will pay dividends to the opening doors for potential stuff later, but they might throw out some crazy idea that you might go, hey, I could do that. And then maybe you've got to pivot to your business because you've listened to somebody. The other thing is paying attention to your competitors. What are your competitors doing? Because it's the people that are ready that are going to come out strong, not the people that are going to lag behind. The laggards are going to be in real trouble when we come out of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know I have a business that, it actually benefits from people being able to look at like screens during the day, like to be in front of screens, where in the past, they may not have been as much in front of screens, and now they are. Yeah. So there's a unique opportunity of focus that I can leverage right now and have seen pretty good growth in client acquisition, because I've recognized that and gone after that. So,
right. Yeah, exactly. Other trends that you can think about that are coming down the road because of the COVID-19, one is travel, right? Local travel will be far more popular because people can't get further away. They're getting on airplanes or going international. And so stuff, around our area and other areas that, have access to recreation and stuff, if people could create ways to make things safe for people, to make them feel comfortable and to proactively promote that, are going to be people that are going to do well. Cleaning services, Josh. I hate to admit something simple, but hotels, businesses, a lot of places are going to want to be far more proactive about cleaning their space and keeping it clean than they've been in the past. Yeah. And so some business as simple as that, if you've got a janitorial service, you should be blowing up right now. And if you've got people that do similar types of stuff like pest control, all right, you've got people, you've got trucks, you've got stuff out there, you could turn those people also into, cleaning services to go out and do things. I mean, those kinds of things that are going to be attributed to this, COVID-19 are going to do pretty well as well. Yeah.
Well said.
Other trends, have to be home remodel because, I don't know what new projects are going to look like, given potentially the strain on people not being able to make mortgage payments and potentially a little bit of a dip in real estate, home remodeling and project work, that kind of a thing. People that have handyman services that just provide basic skills and capability to people that don't particularly like to do yard work and that kind of stuff, are going to be there and be pretty well. So I think that to sum up for us, Josh, what are we talking about to begin to pivot here? Begin to thinking about that.
Well, so we talked about talking to clients, talking to customers, finding out where the need is, right? And then pairing that need with what competencies that you have and using it as an opportunity to go after those weaknesses that we talked about in the last session, and staying focused on how can you deliver value? Because at the end of the day, we didn't explicitly say that, but at the end of the day, the companies that continue to deliver value are the ones that will emerge strong on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, making it easier for the customer to buy from you.
Yeah.
Right. That's the other thing. Okay, great. And as always, you can certainly call us. We're available to chat. We're just spending a lot of time talking to companies that are both looking at things and looking at creative possibilities and brainstorming with them. And we're also talking to companies that are kind of struggling. So if we could be of any help in a dialogue and just being creative, we'd love to chat with you. Just give us a call. Thanks for your time.